We'll get started. My name is John Von Paris, and I'm the chairman of the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee, and we'll be conducting today's meeting. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2026, and I hereby call the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee webpage. As a reminder, all members of the committee will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones. Anyone who is presenting or answering a question, please turn your video and audio on when speaking. When you're done, please turn your video off and put your audio back on mute. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media that have pre-registered to comment at today's meeting. This time we will move on to agenda number 1, the approval of the May 14, 2026 open session meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, member. Thank you, member Rosen. And a second by member Carroll. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is an approval item as well for the May 14, 2026 closed session meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Member Ardinger also move.
Thank you, member Ardinger. Is there a second?
Second.
Carol, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, members. We will move on to item number 3, contract number J01B66000044 MDTA Motorola APX 6500 enhanced mobile radios. And Michael Himmer is here. We're going to hear from him about this request. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Mike Hemmer with the radio shop. I'm here to present the MDTA Motorola APX 6500 enhanced mobile radios. This procurement is for the purchase of Motorola APX 6500 enhanced mobile radio communications equipment, including warranties for the MDTA police and operations vehicles. This equipment will support the MDTA police and operations communications needs, ensuring efficient, reliable operations for law enforcement and emergency responsive activities. The procurement is issued as a request for proposal under the Department of Information Technology Radio Communications 2018 Master Contract. It was advertised to 8 authorized master contractors who can provide Motorola products. Motorola Solutions, Inc. was the sole offerer. This estimated value of this one-time purchase contract is $852,742.
Okay, thank you. Member Ardinger?
I'm just surprised it was offered to 8, but only 1 responded. Any thoughts as to why?
Is that addressed to me? Just to make sure I'm on it.
Yeah, whoever can respond.
Good morning. This is Jeff Davis from the Division of Procurement. With your permission, Mike, I could try to offer an answer.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, technically there are resellers on the master contract, but for whatever reason, and this has been going on for quite some time and you will see it in the future as well, Motorola is the only one that provides pricing in this region. They do not, since they sell directly, and they're also on this master contract, those resellers do not offer bids.
Okay, so it's sort of originating out of Motorola. They're only allowing one of the vendors to really bid on this. Is that what I'm understanding?
Just themselves.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
it's an interesting quirk of this hardware contract.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
It's a good question. I had a similar question to that. I guess they have like a dealer arrangement or no? Is this going to procurement directly to Motorola?
Correct. It goes directly to Motorola Solutions.
Okay, so sending that out do we know for other bidders, do we know in advance it's not going to happen, or do we?
Yes,
Is that
Jeff, again, permission to speak frankly. This contract kind of puts us in a bind because technically there are multiple vendors, but historically none of them bid. We have attempted in the past to go directly to Motorola as a sole source because we do need the Motorola radios in our systems. The benefit of the master contract is the terms and conditions are already negotiated, and they already meet Maryland's standard terms and conditions and minimum terms and conditions. The attempts to go directly to Motorola usually struggle when it comes to negotiating terms. So this contract has the already negotiated terms, and we have to go through this process each time because there are multiple vendors. We would not be able to justify upfront that there would only be a single response because technically other vendors could provide, but historically they have not provided pricing. I see Jim has a hand up, and I'm also, okay, nope. I thought someone was texting me telling me I was saying it wrong, but that was unrelated. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Jim?
Yes, good morning. This is Jim Lucas, Fleet Administrator. One of the quirks about this particular type of equipment that we're getting is that the radios are encrypted. They're encrypted for police use as well as operations use. So it's very, very limited on who they allow to do those sorts of programming within the radios. So it's historically, it's always just been Motorola who's been providing them. So that's one of the other issues that we've been dealing with over the last number of years whenever we have to get radios. So they're the only ones that can provide it.
Thank you for that. I was unaware of that. Thank you.
I guess this is set up with the DGS, is that right? Department of
Yes.
General, or DG, yeah,
Yeah.
Department of General Services.
It's their master contract
Okay.
for radios.
Okay, I guess my question on this, I mean, we have the next item coming up, so my questions will be more centered to that one. This one, I think you've answered my questions. Any other member Ardinger, you're satisfied with you're good? Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, everybody. All right, well then, is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval?
So move, Member Carroll.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for the input. We will move on to the next item. And Mr. Himmer, you're still up, right? So
Yes.
the approval of contract number J01B66 00045 MDTA Motorola APX Next Portable Radios. So here you go.
This procurement is for the purchase of Motorola N70 and APX Next portable radio communications equipment to include warranties for the MDTA police and operations. The equipment will support the MDTA police and operations communication needs, ensuring efficient and reliable operations for law enforcement and emergency response activities to include encryption. The procurement was issued as a response for proposal under the Department of Information Technology Radio Communications 2018 Master Contract. It was advertised to 8 authorized master contractors who can provide Motorola products. Motorola Solutions, Inc. was the sole offerer. The estimated value of this one-time purchase contract is $6,820,042.39.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from any members? I don't see any hands up. Oh, Member Carroll.
Member Ron Harris, do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Between items 3 and 4 relative to this particular functionality and equipment, are there any other life cycle costs that need to be accounted for? Will this represent what we would expect for the entire life cycle of the equipment and the costs associated as described in those two agenda items?
So for the item, the previous item, that is a partial. We're trying to replace our mobile radios that go into vehicles yearly. The item that's currently on the agenda, this is a one-time for our portables or the handheld radios that will hopefully take us another 10 plus years.
Thank you.
I do. Michael, I have a question here on the engineer's estimate.
Okay.
It's it's significantly higher than what the cost is. It's not a bad thing, but when we look at that and we say, hey, that's good. We feel it's a comfort level when if it's the other way, we're concerned about that, right? More so. But on this, can you explain why that's so much higher? Can anybody? And I mean, how do we arrive at that? Because if we have the inside track on the DGS, and we kind of can gauge what it's costing us, how do we miss that? I just don't want it to be something where we're putting a number out there so we feel good about it. I want to make sure that I just want to understand behind the scenes how we came up with that. If you feel that's a fair
Michael, do you
question.
mind if I respond or did?
Sure. Yeah. I'd like to.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Once again, members, Jeff Davis, Division of Procurement. I am not going to claim that I am the author of this information. The answer was provided by our manager of IT procurement, and he said that the project started 3 years ago, and the estimate was based on the published pricing at the time. He believes that the price has come down in the market, and he also believes because of the substantial quantity of radios, they did provide us a close to 10% discount below MSRP.
Okay.
Jim is on, he might have more insight.
Oh, Jim, did you want to comment? You good?
Well, basically what Jeff said was accurate. So again, this project was initiated about 3 years ago when the previous fleet administrator was in place here. So we put the numbers in. We were basing them off of the MSRP at the time. These were newer radios at the time for the radios that we're asking for here, the N70s and the APX Next. So we based our estimates off of those numbers. And the amount of radios that we're getting, which is approximately, I believe, 700, Mike, is that correct?
About 756.
Yes. So they gave us a discount based off of the quantity. That's how we can. That's what we believe was the reduction in the cost. Once we turned the procurement over, or the solicitation over to procurement, we can't not engage with the vendors at that point. So whatever they decided to do throughout the procurement process was a business issue.
Okay. Last question I have on this is, since DGS has a contract and I guess the technology piece is really managing it, but does Motorola provide the same type of system for other law enforcement agencies within the state? Is it identical to that?
Yes. It says the same contract. It's like a blanket contract that all other Maryland agencies can utilize.
Okay. And do we ever compare it to that in terms of this bid? That it's comparable in price?
This particular bid, no, but I have reached out with the State Highway when they bought similar products and we've been spot on.
All right, thank you. All righty. I don't see any, thank you for the answering the questions. Appreciate that very much. I don't see any more hands up or questions here. So is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval?
So moved.
Member-
Member Rosen.
Member
Okay,
Arman, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by member Rosen, second by member Artinger. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your input. We'll move on to item number 5, financing resolution 26-02, series 2026 BWI PFC bonds. And Alberto is here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Yarberko and I'm the debt administrator for the authority, and I'm here to present MDTA Board Resolution 26-02. This resolution updates previously approved Resolution 26-01 to include partial refinancing of the Series 2012 and Series 2014 bonds to achieve economic savings. The bonds being considered for refinancing are highlighted in the debt service schedules attached to this memorandum on pages 3 and 4. In addition to this resolution, this resolution continues to authorize the issuance of new passenger facility charge back bonds to finance a portion of BWI Airport capital projects planned for fiscal year 2027 and 2028. Please note that the only changes made from the previous resolution is the addition of the refinancing component for the existing bonds. Resolution 2602 contains the following limiting and reporting provisions. The par amount is still limited to 130 million. The final maturity for the refinancing bonds in compliance with IRS regulations is no later than June 1st, 2030, which is the final maturity of the 2014 bonds. Bond sales are no later than December 31st, 2026, and then bond sale reports on results provided by the executive director and the CFO at the first board meeting after the bond sales. Management recommends that the Finance and Administrative Committee's concurrence and recommendation to, management requests the Finance and Administration Committee concurrence and recommendation to move to the full board for approval for the municipal financial resolution. So if you look at that attachment that I had, we highlighted the bonds that are potential for refinancing in the 2012 bonds and the 2014 bonds. And those are market dependent. As of the time we run those, we were looking at some savings over $1 million. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Rosen?
Thank you. Just quick, does this take into account, do the savings take into account all transaction costs related to the refinancing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Member Artinger?
And this is just a refresher for me as to these bonds and how they operate. The repayment the repayment for the bonds is generated off of the passenger. There's a fee associated with who.
The
Right,
$4.50 PFC fee that is charged for every plane passenger.
Okay, and in regards to the airport, and I think this has been responded to prior, but from a projection standpoint, we're seeing growth at the airport. There's no concern about, a drop in revenue. Is that
Yes.
correct?
MA's
okay.
recent forecast shows some growth in revenues, especially in fiscal year 2029.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Carroll?
Thank you, Member Ron Paris. For the FY 27 and 28 for the 2014 series refunding, there's negative savings. Can you, I'm not an accountant, so could you sort of break that down in layman's terms, why that would be acceptable?
The ones with a negative savings, we're not gonna refinance those. We're only picking the ones that have
Okay.
positive savings.
Yeah, one other clarifying point, Member Carroll, is that that's showing the cash flow negative savings there. And so what's happening is that the couponing for the refinancing bonds is changing as well. And so we're modeling issuing 5% premium coupons. And so some of those maturities, or all of those maturities that are after 27 and 28, they're paying interest semi-annually. So the coupon rate of interest is higher. So it looks like there's savings or negative savings, but we're looking at the whole amortization for each of those maturities. And it's just that in those 2 fiscal years, they'll be paying slightly higher debt service. So that's the negative savings. But overall, it's
Thank you
still,
both.
over $1 million of projected cash flow savings over the life of the bonds.
And
Thanks, Alan.
I want
Great
to
show.
just to comment on that. This, I guess, the 1.7 million savings is going to flow to the Maryland Aviation Administration, right? Not MDTA.
Yes.
Okay, so we have just a comment, I guess, the administrative cost for all of this, and then it's just, it's a lot involved, a lot of monitoring, a lot of administrative costs to go through that, probably legal and everything else, but that's our expense as well.
That'll be a MA expense.
It is MDTA expense, right?
No, it's an MA expense. All this bond financing is an MA expense.
All right, thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval?
So moved, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. Is there a second?
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Y'all, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Chantel, did you have a comment?
Yes. So I just wanted to clarify, like, we do not charge MAA for like our time involved in the in the process. But however, like y'all said, the cost of the attorney fees, any sort of advisor fees, so forth and so on, that's paid by MAA. So I just wanted to make that small point of distinction.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Okay, we will move on to the next item, and that is approval of the fiscal year 2027 final operating budget. Approval of the final operating budget for also, for 2027. I just read that. So anyway, I read it again. Chantel, you're presenting.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. You all
Morning.
note that Jeff Brown, thank you. You know that Jeff Brown is not here today. He's on vacation. So in Jeff's absence, I am here to request the approval of the final fiscal year 2027 operating budget. I'd like to direct your attention to attachment 1, which is located on page 39 of your PDF document. Attachment 1 reflects a summary of the major changes in the final fiscal year 2027 budget versus the preliminary budget. Starting at the top of the page, you know that the proposed budget is approximately $10.2 million or 2.2% higher than the preliminary budget. Approximately $4.9 million of the increase comprises expenses that are categorized as mandatory costs. These expenses, which are typically personnel in nature, are non-discretionary. That is, they are either dictated or predicated on salary guidelines and Department of Budget and Management rate changes. Approximately $7.5 million of the increase comprises additional discretionary expenses where we do have some flexibility in terms of the budgeted amount. The non-mandatory expenses are based on certain expectations or assumptions regarding the level of spending required in the upcoming fiscal year. Lastly, the budget also reflects $2.2 million in reductions. Next, we'll delve a little deeper into what's driving the changes in each of the aforementioned categories. Regarding the increase in mandatory expenses, approximately $3.1 million or 63% of the increase is salary-based and is driven by salary changes resulting from position reclassifications, collective bargaining, and a cost of living adjustment for civilian employees. The remaining $1.8 million or 37% of the increase includes things such as employee overtime due to vacancies in snow, retiree health, and other increases in personal expenses that are generally a derivative of the increase in base salaries, such as pension and Social Security costs. Moving on to the $7.5 million in additional discretionary spending, with some exceptions such as property insurance and other contractual services. For the most part, the increases comprise of multiple minor adjustments. Property insurance for bridge and tunnels increases by $1.1 million. The increase reflects a 12.5% increase over the fiscal year 2026 actual expenditures, and this is based on budget guidance provided by the State Treasurer's Office. Other contractual services increases by $1 million, mostly due to a change in the overhead rate for the Maryland State Police, which is dictated by federal grant guidelines. Vehicle purchases increased by approximately $800,000 due to the rollover of expenses from fiscal year 2026 to 2027 due to the delayed receipt of vehicles. Other replacement equipment increases by about $600,000, mostly due to police-related expenses that include outdoor police drones, patrol rifles, and items for the police academy participants such as gun holsters and laptops. The budget also includes an additional $500,000 each for management studies and large vehicle maintenance and repair. Management studies increases by a net $500,000, mostly due to the MD Star project, which allows the authority to synchronize tolling vendor information and monitor transactions in real time, and the I-95 Maryland 222 interchange corridor visioning study. The $500,000 increase in large vehicle maintenance and repair is reflective of higher parts and labor costs based on fiscal year 2026 actual expenses. Fiscal services and data processing increased by $400,000 each, mostly due to payment processing fees associated with the authority's customer service center and the Easy Pass interagency group, and rate increases for IT consulting and technical services. Department of Information Technology Services, Easy Pass Service Center costs, and application software increased by $300,000 each. These increases are mostly due to pass-through TSO charges, tolling vendor credit card processing interchange fees, and software licensing fees. Uniforms, computer usage fees, and other additional equipment increased by $200,000 each. These increases are driven by anticipated Maryland MDTA Police Academy class participation, software licensing agreements for our HR platform, and indoor police drones and vaults for MDTA police vehicles. The remaining $700,000 increase under the additions category are reflective of things such as large motor vehicle, gas and oil, security service, and other minor increases across various RCs. The increase in security services and vehicle gas and oil is based on prior year expense trends as well as current market condition. The final budget also reflects $2.2 million in reductions. The decrease is mostly due to the anticipated timing of certain vehicle costs that are expected to occur in fiscal year 2028, operating cost reductions that are mostly IT related that can be shifted to the capital budget, and minor reductions in costs such as building and maintenance repairs that decreased by a total of $300,000 across 17 RCs. And with that, that completes my review of the fiscal year 2027 final budget. I'd be happy to respond to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chantel. You did a great job with that. Really, really did. Are there any questions? Okay. I don't see any questions here, so we will seek a motion to advance this to the full board for approval.
So move. Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
Member Artinger, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Artinger. And we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, members. And Chantel, thank you. It's approved. So, okay, we will move on to the next item, which is approval item draft fiscal year 2027, the Consolidated Transportation Program. Jennifer. Hi, good morning, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Morning.
For the record, my name is Jennifer Stump. I'm the Acting Capital Program Manager. And today I'm presenting the fiscal year 27 to 32 draft CTP and seeking your recommendation for approval to the full board on June 25th. This was also presented to the Capital Committee on June 4th. The proposed 6-year fiscal year 27 to 32 draft CTP is $8.9 billion. This reflects a net increase of $1.1 billion as seen in attachment 1 line 6. That net increase is a result of the following: an increase in the 6-year CTP budget by $385 million for the Francis Scott Key Bridge as seen on line 1, a decrease in the 6-year CTP budget by $6.4 million for the I-95 ETL Northern Extension as seen on line 2, an increase in the 6-year CTP budget by $262.9 million for all projects except the Key Bridge, the I-95 ETL Northern Extension, and the reserves as seen on line 3, an increase in the allocated and unallocated reserves by $429.2 million as seen on line 4. The fiscal year 2026 expenditures were $872.7 million versus the $1.3 billion budgeted in the fiscal year 26 to 31 final CTP, as reflected on line 6. The fiscal year 26 underspending was $413.8 million and has been rolled over into the draft CTP. Highlights of project and reserve changes are shown in attachment 2. We added 9 system preservation projects and 2 enhancement projects for a net increase of $84.5 million in the fiscal year 27 to 32 period. We adjusted 3 projects to reflect bids received lower than the engineer's estimate and 3 projects to reflect bids received higher than the engineer's estimate for a net increase of $974,000 in total cost of the projects and a net increase of $10.9 million in the fiscal year 27 to 32 period. The construction phase of 8 projects was funded for a total of $81.3 million, transferred from the reserves as designed reached 60% and cost estimates were established on fully developed scopes. 8 projects were completed or deleted for a net decrease of $480,000 in the fiscal year 27 to 32 period. For modified active projects, we adjusted cash flows and funding changes in engineering, utility, and or construction budgets of 56 projects for a net budget increase of $462.4 million in the fiscal year 27 to 32 period. For reserve changes, the allocated reserve had an increase of $428.3 million, and the unallocated reserve increased by $926,000 for a net increase of $429.2 million in the fiscal year 27 to 32 period. On attachment 3, it details where the projects are by facility. We have 54% at the Key Bridge, 13.2% at Kennedy Highway, 10.2% at the William Preston Lane Memorial Bay Bridge, 7.2% are multi-area, 9% at the Fort McHenry Tunnel, 5.1% at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel, and less than 2% each of the Intercounty Connector, Point Breeze, Hayden Bridge, and Nice Bridge. On attachment 4, it details the projects by category. We have 56.3% in bridge replacements, 13.7% in structures preservation, 13.2% in safety and capacity improvements, 5.1% in highway preservation, 4.7% in tunnel preservation, 2.6% in campus facility improvements, and less than 2% each in enhancements, environmental, campus facility preservation, and the unallocated reserve. And again, we're seeking your recommendation for approval to the full board.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions? Okay. I don't see any questions. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval?
Member Ardinger also move.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Is there a second?
Second, Member Rosen.
Second, Member Carroll.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Rosen. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks again for your presentation this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will move on to agenda item number 8, debt policy. Alan Arman is here. Hello, Alan. Good to see
Morning.
you.
Thank you. We're seeking approval or recommendation of the Finance and Administration Committee to move forward to the full board for 2 changes to the debt policy. The first change would be to reflect the activity during the recent legislative session that increased the MDTA's bonding limit to $5 billion from $4 billion. That becomes effective July 1st. So we just like to reflect that in the policy. The second change has come about through consultation with credit rating agencies, and it's one of our municipal advisors. We're recommending a formulaic change in our unrestricted cash reserve target, and that's to support prudent liquidity and meet toll sector ratings methodologies. I wanted to explain some of the background to that is that each year we meet with the rating agencies and we show them our forecast, projected revenues, projected capital budget, in particular, projected debt service coverage is one of the most important metrics, and also our projected liquidity position. The rating agencies have raised questions with that because we typically show, a capital program and rising revenues. We also project a rising operating budget. We grow that on a projected basis at 4% a year. We think that's prudent. We're showing future financings that would be necessitated by the capital program. But one thing we haven't been showing is an increase in the cash position. And they've, perhaps rightfully raised some concerns or questions. Do we intend to increase our liquidity position with the growth in our operating budget? And by way of some additional background is that the rating agencies look at that as one of the more important measures, is that do you have adequate liquidity, to meet unforeseen, revenue declines or unforeseen increases in expenses. And they generally recommend that your unrestricted cash position equal your operating budget. So in years past, we've come back to the board intermittently and requested increases in that unrestricted cash position to meet those rating agency recommended metrics. And the last increase was in 2023 when we raised the target from 350 to 400 million. So the rating agencies have asked, well, if you're doing those recommended changes, why not just show that in your forecast? And I think that's the genesis of our recommendation, is that we'd like to show that in the forecast. The board will still be approving the actual forecast, so they still maintain control in that cash position, but it's very helpful for us to show it in the forecast so the credit rating agencies have less concern about us meeting those liquidity standards. So just a few key points is that a cash reserve is prudent and it's necessitated by rating agency metrics for toll sector entities in the AA ratings category. We're one of 5 entities that's rated, in that mid AA ratings category by Moody's, and that helps to ensure our bond market access at the lowest possible financing rates. One of our policies in the debt policy is to seek the lowest possible financing rates and achieve the highest possible credit ratings for the sector. It's important to understand that low financing rates help to support some combination of lower capital program, larger capital program or lower required toll rates. And that's simply because you're not spending as much on interest expense. And so those monies are available for the capital program. The cost of maintaining a larger cash reserve is less than the long-term costs associated with financing as a lower rated borrower, which means that if we had a smaller cash position and we had a lower credit rating, the extra interest expense that we would be paying would exceed the cost of carrying that additional cash. So a little bit more background on the toll sector ratings methodology is that the debt service coverage metric is, your net revenues divided by your debt service. That's really the most important credit strength measure. The liquidity measure the rating agencies look at is called days cash on hand, and it's essentially looking at how much you spend each day, taking your operating budget, dividing it by 365 days, and then looking at your cash position and dividing your cash position by that daily use of cash. So they would like you to have approximately 1 year or 365 or 400 days worth of cash on hand. And in the ratings methodology, they show like a notching factor is that it may notch your rating, lower or higher based on your cash position. So having less than 365 days may cost you a notch or a half a notch. So you might be pushed down from, say, mid AA to AA minus because of that. Again, we raised the last time in 2023 from 350 to 400 million. On the second page of the memo, there's maybe a helpful illustrative table that shows in the top line is our operating budget in 26, and it shows growth over the next 3 years through 2029. The police reimbursables are part of our budget. We're supplying police to MAA and MPA. Rightfully, we reduce the operating budget for those expenses because they're fully reimbursed, and the rating agencies understand that. So what we're not targeting as a cash position is the whole operating budget. It's the operating budget less those police reimbursables. So on the fourth line, you can see the projected unencumbered cash reserves or unrestricted cash at the end of 26 is estimated around 550 million. And then I highlighted in green the operating budget in 28, projected about 455 million, and where unencumbered cash reserves could be in 27 to approximate the next year's operating budget. And you can see the rise from 27 to 28, rising from 455 million to 471, and how that 28 unrestricted cash target would approximate the budget in 2029. And then in the very last line, you can see what the days cash on hand ratio would show in our financial forecast to the rating agencies, demonstrating that we're trying to maintain approximately 400 days cash on hand. And you'll note that the operating cash or the cash in the operating account also enhances that. So we have some financial flexibility to adjust that operating cash throughout the year so that we end, at approximately 365 days. But certainly for forecasting purposes, it will give the rating agencies some comfort that we are targeting an increase. So I wanted to move forward to the page 3. It shows the current policy language and the proposed policy language. So in policy statement 5, it states that we'll maintain unrestricted cash at the end of each fiscal year of at least 400 million. And the lower policy statement 5 shows the changes. So we'd like to change that to say that the MDTA will maintain the unrestricted cash balances equal to the next fiscal year's operating budget. And we have some clarifying points in there that it would exclude the police reimbursables and also exclude extraordinary one-time expenses. And so a couple of key points why we are excluding these extraordinary expenses is that we've occasionally had unusual items like the Key Bridge cleanup costs that cause a temporary boost in the operating budget. We do not propose raising unrestricted cash for something that's not going to be reoccurring. We've also had in current fiscal years large equipment purchases or large vehicle purchases that would not be reoccurring annually. And so we just want to make sure that we have the flexibility to not increase our cash position for more of a one-time increase in the operating budget. So one of the reasons in the past that we'd come back to the board periodically or intermittently for increases rather than putting it in as a formulaic change was that we were concerned that we might be compelled to increase cash when it wasn't advantageous to do so or for a one-time increase. And we thought that this might be an elegant solution to that, is that rather than tying it to the current year's operating budget, we would tie it to the following or the next year's operating budget and also give the flexibility to exclude these one-time extraordinary items. So for financial forecasting purposes, that would be modeled to equal the next year's operating budget. And we believe that the board is effectively retaining control over that position because the board approves both the financial forecast as well as the operating budget. So we don't believe there's any change in the board's oversight or approval of the actual cash position. Wanted to bring one final point, and I think it's probably a question that might be in someone's mind here, is that, you know, is there a cost to carrying that extra cash? And I try to explain that on the following page, is that we look at it as a net cost of carry. To the extent that we add cash to a reserve, we're using excess operating revenues to increase that reserve, and those excess operating revenues would have otherwise been available for the capital program. So that would have a slight increase cost in terms of a financing cost for the agency to indirectly finance that cash. But we would be comparing that financing cost to what we would earn on the cash reserve. And so it's interesting, we looked at the current rate environment, and the earnings potential on the reserve is slightly above that indirectly financing cost. But over time, I think it's reasonable to consider that there may be a carrying cost to that or a net carrying cost. And so I think it yields a helpful decision rule, is that, you know, in the long term, if your interest savings on those future financings are greater than your carrying cost of that extra finance debt, then it makes sense to continue to add to your liquidity position. Not only is it prudent for contingencies, but it's also economic because it costs you less. So we have $3 billion in expected financings over the program period, and we looked at, you know, what's the cost of being downgraded by one notch and what's the differential in financing. It's about 8 basis points. You know, it's about a 4, we're financing around 4%, and to be about 8 basis points higher. And so we calculated, well, what would be the break-even differential essentially between our financing rate and that extra cost of the financing versus, you know, the cost of carrying the cash. And it's around 20 basis points. Currently, you know, we're earning slightly more than the cost of financing, so it's clearly economic. But even in situations when, you know, there's a 20 basis point differential, because you're saving so much in interest expense on the financings, it still remains economic to add that additional cash. So that really concludes the complexity there. So we're seeking approval to move forward to the full board for these two policy changes, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Thank you, Alan. Very thorough. Member Artinger?
Yeah, thank you, Alan, and definitely agree with you. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize our rating. Two questions for you. Is this this requirement or this suggestion, is this consistent with the other entities? Are they doing the similar things that have the AA rating?
Yes, we look at the rating agencies publish peer medians, so we can look to other peer tolling agencies and see what they're doing. And you know, we've done quite a bit of that over the years. It's interesting because the agencies are so different. Some of them will have very low cash positions, and some have, you know, much higher positions than we do. Like the Bay Area Toll Authority in California continues to have a much higher position, but when I've looked at them in years past, they have some elements that might necessitate higher cash. And certainly from a perspective of a rating agency, for example, they have variable rate debt outstanding, or they have interest rate swaps. And so they may be looking at it, you know, from that perspective as well. You know, there's an entity in Florida, Florida Turnpike, which is more integrated with the Florida DOT. And so they effectively don't have any cash, but it's a different look of an entity. And so they're peer agencies that have similar credit ratings, but they're fundamentally different. And so that perhaps explains some differences. There's a couple of other credits that have, you know, targets that are, you know, like ours, where they're similar to their operating budget, and they have, you know, less variable rate debt or no exposure. So I think what we're doing is in line with the rating agencies. And we currently, as you all know, have two negative outlooks. The negative outlooks are because of the declining projected debt service coverage, as well as uncertainties about the cost of the Key Bridge and the lost revenue. And so we certainly think that while this doesn't guarantee us coming off of negative outlook, it's an element that's been raised by the rating agencies as an element of concern. And we think that this is certainly more positive to implement something like that. We're not fundamentally changing what we've been doing. We're just, the main goal was to get it into the forecast so they can see that our intent is reflected in the forecast. The board retains control, but we'd like to model it in the forecast, you know, that basically would reflect our practice of maintaining, you know, that cash equal to our operating budget.
That definitely makes sense. Also, extraordinary, the term, what was it? Extraordinary one-time expenses. Where is that defined? I'm missing that.
I put it at the bottom as a footnote, and also I put it in the debt policy as a
Okay.
defined term. And so, I mean, I think from the accounting industry or in other industries, like an extraordinary is often understood to be something that's not reoccurring annually or unusual. We have some language in our trust agreement as well about extraordinary events. So, you know, I view like a cleanup for the Key Bridge as an operating expense that is extraordinary. It's not something that's likely to reoccur. And at times when, you know, we've gone to like large purchases of police vehicles, you know, with the change in policy for take-home vehicles, Like there will be reoccurring expenses for purchasing vehicles, but not this one-time purchase of a large number of new vehicles or equipment. So I don't think we want to have a policy where we have to meet a one-time increase in the operating budget. We want some discretion to be able to lower that unrestricted cash target for what we think is our more normal operating budget. And that's also why we're trying to tie it to not the current year's operating budget, but next year's, because that typically removes those one-time extraordinary items.
Yep. No, I agree with you 100%. And it's the attorney and me. Defined terms are always very important. And I'm sorry, I'm still not finding it. You said it is in the material you gave us, the definition?
Yeah, let me look back at the summary sheet. I think.
Oh, wait, I think I see it. Operating expenses not expected to occur annually. That's the definition?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That seems pretty broad, which actually I think could be beneficial. So thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting over the years, we've had a pandemic and we've had a financial crisis and 9/11. And so I have no idea what this next extraordinary thing is going to be, but it's broad enough that I think we have discretion and the rating agencies will understand that we don't know what that extraordinary operating expense is going to be, but we're prepared to adjust for it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Artinger. Alan, you mentioned two items primarily, I guess the cash position, and then you mentioned the Key Bridge situation. We were addressing the cash position. How do we go through? I guess we've made a lot of progress here recently with the Key Bridge, but are they comfortable? What do we do to satisfy that piece of the puzzle here that you mentioned on the Key Bridge?
I mean, we try to convince the rating agencies of our strength all the time, and we'll have, another ratings reviews coming up this year. We've been notified, with the receipt of settlement funds, we're certainly going to advocate strongly that, you still have project uncertainty for any project, but with a large amount of cash on hand, that is certainly a credit strength. And our interactions with Federal Highway have been very favorable. So those are points that we'll certainly be making to the rating agencies, to advocate for our, resilience and sensi and ability to meet, the cash flows of the project.
Yeah, and I agree with your proposal here. What is your experience with the rating agencies as it relates to us, for example, making the change with our cash position and their action to change their rating?
Yeah, I think over time the rating agencies will tell you that they try to rate through a cycle. They'll also explain that, say, like a covenant as the greatest strength to them. So if we have a legal covenant, let's say in our trust agreement or a loan agreement to maintain cash, that would be the strongest thing from their perspective. A policy would be the next best thing, and a long-standing policy would be even more valued. So if you can demonstrate that the board, say, adopted this, the debt policy's been in place since I've been here in 2007. So it's a long-standing policy. Our debt service coverage goal is a long-standing policy. So that's certainly a management strength that the rating agencies have recognized, and they've rewarded us for in our, relatively high credit ratings for the sector. So I think they'll certainly view it favorably. It removes like an element of concern because they'll be able to see it in the forecast. And if the board adopts it as a policy, then it's formalized in writing, and they will recognize that not only have we been doing this, but now we've adopted it in policy. So I think it'll be definitely viewed favorably. It certainly can't hurt us in any way. And, I hope that continues to show management strength, and that, perhaps they'll remove the negative outlook based on, both this change in policy and also, the receipt of more cash to help, remove some element of uncertainty for the FSK project.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions here coming from members or, so based on that, your report, you're complete with your report. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Very thorough. Thank you. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval?
Member Artinger also move.
Thank you, Member
Second,
Archer. Is there?
Member Carroll.
Thank you. Member Carroll, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, board members, and Alan, of course. We have now reached the closed session portion of our agenda. The closed session is scheduled for the Finance and Administration Committee members and designated staff. For those persons who are in the meeting or on the live stream, as soon as we have completed the closed session, we will come back to this meeting to ratify any actions that might be taken in closed session and to continue with the remainder of the agenda in open session. We appreciate your patience. Per the Maryland Open Meetings Act, the MDTA board will meet in closed session under the general provisions article section 3-305B8 to receive a status update on litigation currently pending against the MDTA. Members, is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I'm documenting this a little bit, so hold on 1 second. So that was Member Rosen. And a second by Member
Member Carroll.
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 Okay. All right, and the time is 10:02 a.m. Okay, very good. We will now go to closed session. Thank you. here. At this point, the agenda is complete, and is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Member Ardinger also move.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Is there a second? I do want to mention here, excuse me, I have to mention that there was no action was taken in closed session that requires ratification. And the time right now is 10:54. So we have a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you.